Hello, everyone, and welcome to September's Tech Park Academy. Today, we're going to be talking with John Williams. He's going to be talking about from eyeballs to equipment, how to create effective DIY videos for your company. And this is be a fantastic presentation from John. I want to let you know that each month we do these Tech Park Academies to help provide unique content to help grow your business. The next one is going to be October 15th at 10 o'clock, and the speaker then is going to be Andrew Tadman, the reference coordinator with the East Baton Rouge Parish Library, and he'll go over some of the value that the local library can actually provide for you, a lot of databases and other resources like that. But today's event is brought to you by the Louisiana Technology Park. I'm Stephen Loy. I'm the executive director of the Tech Park, and we're the hub for technology companies here in the Baton Rouge area. We actually have a facility on Florida Boulevard. If you're needing a space to grow your business, please contact us. And also brought to you by our parent company, Nexus LA, which helps to accelerate the growth of high potential tech-enabled companies by providing coaching, capital, and connections. Please visit us at nexusla.org, and you'll also see, if you visit nexusla.org, you'll also see our latest Resolve series about equity and entrepreneurship, and it was fantastic sessions there. You can watch the videos, and please share those. So now it's my pleasure to welcome John Williams, who will walk us through today about from eyeballs to equipment. But before I do that, John, I'd just like to welcome you here. And John is actually from Memphis, Tennessee. He is a graduate of LSU, and he actually started working or got the videographer bug while taping LSU games. And so he and his wife, Taylor, had JCW, and which is a web creative company here in Baton Rouge, and they have 3 dogs: Nola, Rouge, and Maggie. Love those. So John, welcome. Thank you for being with us, and let's get on with the show.
Thank you for the introduction, Stephen. One of the dogs is also present in the room. So if you hear random noises, it could be her wanting to do something else. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me this morning. Thank you for jumping on. If you've ever seen me speak or worked with me before, I'm a very practical person. I want to figure out how we can actually put stuff to use and execute, is what I always say. So for today's presentation, I'm going to be focusing on the process, on how you can do this, what process you need to think, how you need to think about video in your marketing strategy, and how to do it, and what options you have. I don't have any handouts for anybody to use today. Today is a presentation where I want you to take notes on the theories and on the steps that you need to do, and how you feel that you can best implement what I'm going to talk about today that's relevant to you. Whether you're just a content creator, somebody that's promoting your own business, your individual business, or you're working for a larger business, today's information will be useful for you.
And John, I just want to, if you do have questions, please put them in the Q&A portion underneath your screen, and we will answer those at the end of John's presentation.
Yes. All right, so getting started. I'm going to talk today about how you can tell your story through video, the why and the how. So when we talk about video on our end, and I'm actually going to escape out of this and do a quick refresh. Give me 1 second, everybody. I moved a slide and it got jumped. Okay, back into it. So before you begin, we got to talk about the why. We got to talk about why you want to use video in your strategy. So first of all, the human race was made to be entertained through stories. It's very simple. At the end of the day, we can deliver a story through written content. We can deliver a story in person. We can deliver a story through a photo. But at the end of the day, a video is going to add that extra layer to your message that somebody is not going to get just from reading it or seeing a photo or being walked through visuals. Video adds that layer of credibility where you're actually seeing somebody or something in front of you, you're hearing it, and you're interacting with it with more senses than just text or a photo. Relatability. A video allows you to get in front of your following and talk to them in a way that they can understand, and showcasing what you want to visually explain to them allows them to better understand and relate to your brain and your brand. The entertainment value of video brings another layer of, I now have something more that I can look at rather than just reading an article. And depending on who your following is, engaging, entertaining them could be very important as well to your message. So for us, when we're working on anything in regards to marketing, whether it be a video or another piece of content that we're creating for a client, we want to follow this basic 3-step process that's really going to make sure that we are thinking about the video in the right way before we do it or before we get to work on it. And we're creating it, aligning with the strategy that we've put towards it, and then we're engaging with it. Over my years, I've seen so many people create a video, get it up and out there, and then I come back later and see that it only had 13 views a year later. You can't just create it and put it somewhere. We've got to get it out there. We've got to engage with our following with the video that we created. So step one, before we start to pick up a camera or really even think about the production process, we want to have a conversation about strategy. The first thing that we're going to do is identify the story and the message that we want to tell our audience. Now, in a second, I'm going to get to the types of videos, and that's also going to guide you on your thought process of what story and message that you want to relay to your customers. So for you, I'm also assuming in this conversation and in this presentation that you know your audience, you know your following, you know who you're messaging to and who you're communicating with, and therefore you're building that into your strategy. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to say, what story am I trying to tell somebody right now? Maybe it's some news that I have going on in my company. Maybe it's some news that I have going on in my journey that I want to get out there, and I want to say it in a meaningful and impactful way that entertains the viewer, yet educates the follower on what I want to tell them, what I want to convey to them. So before you proceed, identify your message, identify what story you're trying to say. And that can be as simple as writing out a lead line and saying, I want to properly communicate to my following that I am here and I am offering these, I do these things for them, and here's how I can benefit them. So once you have that basic lead and you understand what you would like to relate and convey to your audience, then we can proceed in the strategy conversation. We next want to decide what's the timeline that I'm going to need to produce this, okay? This is the video production process can be a one-day process if you know how to knock things out and you get fast or you have a quick deadline, or it can be something that takes months. So we want to determine what is going to be the relevancy of my message to my audience. Is it news where I need to get it out because it's relevant to a certain day and time? And when we're going to announce something, and therefore I know that we're going to use this video on Thursday, which means here's going to be my process to produce it in the correct timeline. Now we want to think about timeline because timeline could sway the different type of video that we're doing. At the end of the day, we're going to have to make the decision on what type of video we want to produce, who we want to produce it, how we want to produce it, based on when we're going to need it for, so that our message is most relevant to the people that we're going to put it in front of, our following. Now we want to talk about the video type. Now, the video type is going to be determined by your ability, your technical ability. Is this going to be something that you're going to knock out on your computer or your phone? Or is it going to be something that you need more of an ability for, more of a capability than you might be able to do, or somebody else on your team might be able to do, and therefore we're going to have to hire out? Budget. Is this something that I have enough money to do, whether I'm going to hire somebody or whether I'm going to do it internally? Do I also have the equipment that I need to do it from a budget perspective? Timeline, we discussed that. And then engagement. How are we going to, what type of video is going to best engage with our audience when we produce it? So the common types of videos, and these are not all the types of videos that you can produce, but these are the most common types of videos that you can get out there on a lower budget and perhaps even do it yourself. So the different types are an interview-based video. This is where we're going to interview somebody. Maybe it's one person, maybe it's 3 people, maybe it's 5 people, but we're going to interview them with a series of questions that are genuine and heartfelt. We're going to let our interviewees answer those questions, not pre-canned, not prepped, off the cuff as best that they can, so that we can get a genuine and authentic message back from them when we go into edit. You've got B-roll and voiceover videos. So in this instance, these are used for promotional videos, highlight videos, recap videos. You're just shooting something that's happening, and then maybe later you're going to voice it, or you're going to take that B-roll and combine it with your interviews that you've captured as well. B-roll and voiceover just means that you're going to capture shots of what is happening. Maybe it's an event, maybe it's you working, maybe it's you working on a project or a product. You can have all kinds of B-roll, and there's no limit to what B-roll you can utilize. Screen recordings are an example of a B-roll. If you wanted to, a type of B-roll, if you wanted to showcase something on a website or a journey that somebody needed to follow. Then you have graphics-based video. These are commonly used. Don't have any photos or visuals that you can capture. So maybe you want to say, hey, my business is completely online. I don't have any options for B-roll. I don't even have the capability to record somebody using our software or using our product because it's just not possible. So maybe you want to put together a graphic-based video. Graphic-based video, it usually involves motion graphics, though it can be very simple and effective just by using basic text to deliver a message. You can also add on voiceovers to graphic-based videos. You can have your content that's delivering a message, and then in addition to that, you can also voice it over that message, so you have a text and an audio message that's being delivered to your viewer. The fourth video is a content video. Content videos can be easily summed up as, I'm going to stand right here in the exact way that I'm speaking to you all. I'm going to record myself on QuickTime or on another video recording software in use on your computer. And I'm going to talk to my viewers, my following, about something technical or educational that I believe I can offer my following just by talking to them and delivering a couple of quick tips, a couple of quick points, or a basic message that I believe I can keep as interesting and captivating for a minute or two, directly looking at my camera and educating my following. Once we decide what type of video we want to create in this instance, we're going to create it. And the create phase is going to follow the video production process. Now, the video production process is a simple 3-step process that involves pre-production, planning and coordination of the video, the production process, where you're actually going to shoot your clips and your media that you're going to edit from, and then the post-production process, where you're going to edit your video and perform any sound editing or basic color correction that you might need to make your video look the way that it needs to look. From there, you'll have a video that's a file that you can do anything with. I'm also very much, as we think strategy and process, I'm very much a fan of how can I use this medium later? How can I use the B-roll that I'm shooting for today's video that I'm producing, but will these shots also be relevant in a couple of months? Or will I use these shots for a year in review recap video? Or will I use these shots for a content video that I want to produce next month as well? Or while I'm on this shoot, or while I'm at this event, or while I'm shooting these shots of people on my team working, what else could I potentially shoot while I'm shooting that I can use later? If you can treat video as an asset and something that is an equitable marketing piece for your company or for yourself, then you will find yourself aligning with an overall marketing plan that involves video, where it will get easier and easier as time progresses and you produce more and more content. In the pre-production process, before we begin shooting and going out there, if time allows, we want to have our coordination where we decide where are we going to shoot, when are we going to shoot, who are we going to shoot, who are we going to interview, are we going to do interview while we're out capturing B-roll, how are we going to coordinate that if necessary. You also could have something where you turn on the camera or you walk around your organization or your office and shoot what you have and shoot what's going on, because you don't have to coordinate B-roll. If something is going on at our company, we always have a camera that anybody can grab at any time and shoot basic shots that then can be gathered later. Now, grabbing a camera is also as simple as taking out an iPhone and hitting it on video mode and recording some quality video, which I'm going to get to in a little bit. After we coordinate it, then we want to script it. So at this point, we want to write the message for a voiceover. Maybe it's something where we are going to have myself voice it over. I'm going to use a very basic QuickTime audio recording on my computer to just voice a very basic video. Maybe I'm going to send it off to be voiced by a professional actor. There are different websites out there where you can Google voiceover actors, and you can pay a voiceover actor for anywhere $50 for a couple of seconds, for 30 seconds, a minute, all the way up to 500 or more. The voiceover actors can range in different pricing. You can also find somebody local who could be willing to record your voiceover and work with you on a more direct basis. You also want to think about, am I going to use that voiceover person in the future to help tell our story going forward? Or do we have somebody on our team that we want to go ahead and use their voice because they're the face of the company, or they're our sales team, they know how to align, they know how to speak, and their voice is recognizable by our customers. Sidebar, please make sure if you are using anybody on your team to record voiceovers, you also want to consider the disclaimers or anything that could be in your employment agreement about using the likeness and promoting the likeness of your team in the videos that you create. Continuing with the script, maybe you're going to do a voiceover style, or maybe you're going to do an interview style video. If you're in an interview style video, you don't need to write out a script, but you definitely want to list out some talking points that you know are going to be crucial to tell the story that you want to tell. Once you've written out those talking points, you now want to write some questions that are going to spur you in the interview. Now, I'll stop right there, because as we talk about interviews, it's very important that you don't just write out a series of questions and then when you go to interview that person, you only ask those questions. Your interview questions are going to be a guide to the talking points that you want to hit, and you also want to be curious and a good conversationalist when you are out interviewing people or interviewing somebody in your own location, because you want them to A, feel like you're listening, B, you want to follow what they're saying and perhaps dig deeper based on their answer, and then C, you want to make sure that that person is comfortable and that person is in a flow. And if you go back to canned questions every time for every question when you're in the interview, then it might make them feel uncomfortable because the rhythm of the interview isn't quite there. Once you've written out the message that you know that you want to capture, whether it be through B-roll or interviews out on location, you now want to storyboard it. So this is basic. This is as basic as taking a Word document, having it in multiple columns, and having the second column be your script or your talking points, and your far right column being the different shots that you envision capturing that align with the message that you're trying to say. That's more voiceover. If it's an interview-based video, then you're probably not going to write and storyboard your script like that, but you want to list out talking points for your questions. And then you also want to list out different shots that you know you want to capture for B-roll that will align with your interview. Now, when you go out and shoot on location or at your own facility or wherever you want to be, you want to decide, how am I going to shoot this? What equipment am I going to use? Basic video equipment is going to include some lighting, a camera, and some audio recording device, whatever that might look like. Now, most of you have probably seen Apple's campaign where they have beautiful shots, and then at the end, they say shot on an iPhone. Now, this is true. Those commercials were shot on an iPhone, but just like a very professional commercial or movie, all of those shoots involved lighting and involved audio capturing greater than just the iPhone. So I want everybody to understand that there is absolutely nothing wrong with shooting a video on an iPhone. And of course, as time goes on and technology improves, the lenses and the video equipment that's on an iPhone or an Android device is going to continue to get better and better as they install multiple lenses on the back of these devices that allows the video output to have depth of field with out of focus and out of focus background. Do not discount using a mobile device. In fact, when we go with clients to conferences or to a location where we can't pack an enormous amount of video equipment, we will bring an iPhone. We have a variety of stabilization devices that you can buy for very cheap. You can go on Amazon and you can search iPhone gimbal or iPhone stabilizer or iPhone tripod. And this is going to be the very basics of what you will need to produce a quality video using an iPhone. You can get into lighting, you can get into audio capturing, but with lighting, if you are conscious of your surroundings and you're not shooting in a dark environment and you're shooting outside or in a well-lit space, then lighting might not even be necessary when you're shooting with an iPhone to purchase an additional light 3-point light kit or $100, $200 piece of lighting equipment that you could find on Amazon. You don't have to purchase that if you're on a minimum budget. In addition to using an iPhone and a basic tripod or gimbal to go with your shoot, you could also purchase a very basic microphone. Now, they've come out with very easy to use Bluetooth microphones that can clip onto your shirt or your jacket, and it will connect via Bluetooth to the phone. And that microphone will actually capture the audio of you or the person that you're interviewing, depending on the type of video that you are producing. So basically, with just with under a couple $100 worth of investment and a quality mobile phone that shoots good video, you can produce a nice quality video that's stabilized, was shot on a tripod, or was shot using a gimbal that you operated, or you can also shoot that interview on that iPhone using that basic tripod that you've purchased that holds the iPhone, combined with your $100 Bluetooth mic clip that you've put on your subject shirt, and you now have a basic setup that is quick and easy to get up and running. You can have it with you always, have it on the fly. You never know when you're going to meet somebody that you want to interview that is willing to be interviewed. Maybe it's a previous client or a current client or somebody that you were working with or somebody that can add a testimonial and credibility to the product and service that you are selling or marketing. So you always want to be prepared with an iPhone to pull it out and shoot with it, whether it be a quick B-roll shot because you're seeing something that you haven't seen in a while or that doesn't happen very often, and you know you have to get this shot to be used in the future, or you're just on a low budget and that's the best avenue that you want to use. Now, you can also go a level up and go to the consumer camera series. Now, Canon, we're a Canon office around here. Canon has their T series, their TI series of cameras that you can buy for $300, $400, $500. You can go on Amazon and search a Canon TI EOS camera, and it will actually come with a whole kit. It will come with the camera, a basic lens, the SD card, the tripod, the carrying case. So for $500, you could go and the next level up, get everything that you need. They'll also come with a little Rode microphone that's going to stick on top of the camera and operate as a little shotgun microphone. That's going to be way better than just having a basic iPhone. Those DSLR cameras are going to yield a nice quality image video. You'll also be able to capture photos while you're shooting your video, which is also something that we need to do more of, so that we have our media in a can for later. And you can also use that to get a really nice out of focus, where the background's out of focus and your depth of field looks like a highly professional video and interview that was produced. The third option that you have from an equipment perspective is just hire a professional. Now, I'm going to get into more of what that means later, but you have two choices when it comes to hiring a professional: an agency or a freelancer. If you've done all of the pre-production work, you know the message of your video, you know why you're shooting your video, you know what you're shooting and what type of video you're putting together, then there's nothing wrong with hiring a freelancer for a couple of hours to come in and do your shooting while you ask your questions, or while you make sure that you are capturing everything that you need to tell your story on video with the final product. Now, this is where I'm going to bring this all back down to two very basic things. If you want to add quality videos to your marketing strategy, then the two things that you really want to focus on are getting good interviews, whether it be with yourself, interviewing yourself, asking yourself questions, responding to your own answers, or interviewing your team, or interviewing your vendors, or interviewing your customers. When you interview customers, you are visually putting your customer on the screen in front of other potential customers to guide them and have your customers tell potential prospect customers why they should work with you, why they should use your product or service, what benefits your product or service offers to them. And that credibility of somebody else telling you and your customers the benefits and the great experience that they've gotten while using your product or service, you cannot beat it. You cannot, nor will we ever beat referrals in the marketing world. Nothing is better than a referral. A referral will always lead the most business to especially a service-based, but also a product-based or retail-based business. So we want to capture great interviews. Interviews are also great for equitability. Maybe you asked that person 10, 11 questions, got great responses. Maybe you want to make a video based on each question that you asked them. Maybe you want to make one video that encapsulates their best answers. Maybe you want to use about half of their interview in the current video that you're producing, but your interview also led down another path where you want to have that in the can, and you know that next month or next week, I can actually edit another video without shooting anything new because we already spoke about a different topic that we now have in the can that can be edited later. B-roll is something that whatever your product or service is, whatever you do, whatever you offer, you can never have enough B-roll. You always want to be capturing B-roll, whether it be whipping out an iPhone and snapping some shots of what's going on around you, or filming yourself, or filming your product or service. You can never have enough B-roll. And like I said earlier, you also want to snap photos where you can. Although this isn't a photography presentation, photos and videos are two media assets that you want to have in your library to market whatever it is you're marketing. Now, when it comes to shooting, how can I shoot myself? First of all, the world of shooting, the world of journalism, the world of storytelling is largely split into two. You either have the highly produced commercials, movies, documentaries, where you've brought in a lighting specialist, an audio specialist, a jib, a grip, a director, camera operator or two. That's where you're getting into really high quality and you're spending tons of money on something. If you are producing this yourself and you are trying to get a video out there, the first thing that I want to make clear is that it is not about the quality of your video work. It is not about, are you able to make your shot look like what you see on TV? If that was the case, people would not blow up TikTok all day long, because TikTok is not about quality. It's about you and me shooting video and getting it online for others' engagement and entertainment. So when you are shooting yourself, know that you want to do the basics. You want to get the basics. Now, an iPhone has different settings that can make your shot brighter, that can make your shot darker. An iPhone, if you have the most recent version, has different settings in terms of the depth and the zoom that you can bring to your camera. So on the iPhone, the first thing that you want to do when you're pulling up an iPhone and you're looking to capture video is you want to look at the different settings that you can change your video. So at the bottom of the video tab on an iPhone, or the top, you're going to be able to change some effects, some filters, some lighting in your phone. But what you really want to do, because it's all about getting a shot, is you really want to zoom in and out your shot. On the most recent iPhones, they have a 0.5 focal range that allows you to get a really wide shot. And then they also have where you can zoom into 1 or 2. Now, 2 is a digital zoom, which means that you're pushing into something digitally. It's not the lens actually capturing further in. But when you are shooting B-roll, you want to get a variety of shots. So you want to get a wide shot where you are capturing everything that's going on, or you're capturing the location that you're at, or the scene that you're at, because you want to establish for your viewer where you are. So when we say, start with the basics, do the basics. When you first get to where you're going, or where you're shooting, or what you're shooting, get the wide shot, get the establishing shot. Make sure to show your viewers where you are. Then after that, you want to get a difference between wide, medium, and tight shots. So your phone has that 0.5, 1, and 2 zoom lengths. That's a great place to start. So in addition to getting the wide shot, you now want to go into the 1 zoom level, and you want to get some medium shots of what's going on. Maybe it's a shot of over somebody's shoulder while they're drawing or writing something, or shot over the shoulder while somebody's working on the computer. Maybe it's then going on the other side of that computer and shooting a shot of that person's face or of the front of that person and seeing what they are shooting, what they are writing, what they are working on. Then in a third way, you can come over here on another side and you can get a medium shot where you are seeing everything in one shot together. If you zoom in and out on your camera and you hold the phone steady. Now, I know earlier I talked about a tripod, I talked about a gimbal, but if you take your iPhone and you hold it like this, and it's a wide shot, and you aren't being any shakier than I am right now, you will get yourself a series of good shots to use in your video. Do not try to be fancy if you do not have experience shooting video. Now, a lot of people these days, especially with TikTok, will take their video and they will film something like this. You want to capture your footage in a horizontal manner. You can always edit it or edit it in a way later that could be used to go on TikTok or cut into a box for Instagram later. but you want to make sure that you are horizontally shooting on your phone and getting a wide, medium, and tight shot of everything that you're doing. Now, time is equally as important. You don't want to click record and shoot for a second or two and stop record. You want to shoot, count to at least 5 and hopefully 10 seconds each shot that you get. The longer your shots, the more you will have to work with later. Shoot for a long period of time. The more footage you have later and edit, the better quality your video will be. So do the basics, hold your phone in a horizontal manner, get a wide, medium, and tight shot of everything that's on your shot list, and hold your shot for at least 5, hopefully 10 seconds if you have the time. Now, audio. Let's say that I don't have a microphone. I don't have a clip-on a microphone. I have my phone and that's it. Well, the first thing that you're going to want to find if you're going to capture your interview there without that type of microphone is you want to find a quiet space. Now, hey, if I was just recording that video of B-roll of somebody working on their computer or somebody doing something, interacting or engaging with my product, the microphone on your phone is going to be fine to capture the B-roll. When you are capturing B-roll, you are usually not getting somebody's audio that needs to be translated in a high quality format to your video in terms of an interview. If you are going to interview somebody or capture a message from somebody while you are shooting B-roll, then what you want to do is you want to make sure that your phone is as close to that person's mouth as possible. So in this instance, you can knock your phone to that wide shot. Nobody likes it when you get too close with the camera. I'll tell you that. You're going to have to knock it into that wide shot. And then if you bring your phone close enough to their face, then your phone, your microphone will pick up the audio of that person relatively well. And you will be surprised if, as long as the space is relatively quiet, you will be surprised how good the audio comes out for what you're trying to do. Now, if you're interviewing somebody on a tripod using your camera, using your phone, maybe using one of those Canon T3Is, T5i, T6i, you want to bring that camera close enough so that either the boom microphone or the microphone on the phone will capture you, or if you do have the luxury of affording a clip-on microphone, then you can stand 5-10 feet away and capture that interview. A good audio quality, the most basic thing that you can do for good audio quality is have the microphone within a bubble, within an arm's reach at least of the person's face. And you also want to make sure that that background noise is not overcoming, and you've brought them either outside or in a room that is quiet, like a conference room or something where you know that the camera is only going to pick up the shot that you are recording. Once you have your interview, once you have your quality B-roll, now you have shot the video footage that is needed to produce a very effective testimonial, case study, or narrative form video. Like I said, shoot more than you need. Go out there, shoot some steady shots, get some good quality interviews, make sure that we're not interacting with background audio too much, and make sure that everything is being captured in the best way for you to be successful later when you sit down to edit or provide the files to somebody else to edit. The last thing that I'm going to say about shooting is be conscious of the lighting and of the sun. In this instance, where I am right now in my own office, you want to make sure that you have some light coming at that person's face. You don't want the light to come from one direction or another, because you'll see that person's face be split in half with a shadow. And depending on what type of video you want to produce, shadows either are beneficial or aren't beneficial. You want to make sure that the subject that you are capturing has about the same lighting as the background. So in instance, if there was a window behind me and it was blasted out, then you're really not going to be able to get a good shot on the person because they'll end up being dark. Now, we want to create it. We want to edit it, the footage that you have, so you can use a consumer software program that might already be on your Mac or your PC, such as iPhone or Movie Maker. And then you can also edit it on the basic editing software on your phone, such as iMovie on your phone as well. You can acquire Adobe Premiere. Everybody knows now that Adobe has switched a couple of years ago to the Creative Cloud. If you already have the Creative Cloud, then you have access to Adobe Premiere. And you can use online tutorials to teach you how to perform basic editing functions. Though I will tell you right now, it is not that hard to edit a basic video using a software such as iMovie or Adobe Premiere. Just because you're using the software does not mean you have to know how the entire software works or how to do fancy things. A very basic edit, cut of clips and export as a sequence is something that you can learn to do online with some very basic training videos. If you need to, hire a freelancer or a production company. The last thing is you just got to edit it. You just got to put it together. So now we're going to engage it. We're going to take the video that we've created and we're going to put it out there. Where and how do we do that? You're going to want to start with putting it on YouTube or another host. Common other hosts are known as Vimeo, Wistia. I'm a fan of YouTube because YouTube is owned by Google, and why would you not use the world's most common video hosting and sharing platform? Now, once you've put it on YouTube on your own channel, which is very easy to create a YouTube channel. If you don't have one, you can sign up for a basic Gmail account and create a YouTube channel from that account. You then want to take the embedded file or the link to the file, and you want to put it on your website. Do not just put your video on YouTube. You need to bring it over to your website from YouTube so that it's embedded on your page and makes sense either with your blog post or one of the pages that you're adding to your site. The third thing that you want to do is you want to share it on social media using the original file. Don't use that YouTube link. Each of the social media platforms has the ability to upload the video. Finally, you want to send that video in an email campaign. Maybe you've embedded the video on a page on your website, and you want to take the thumbnail of that video, put it on your email, and then send out your email to people. Many people do watch in all caps or look in all caps or video in all caps, and then your subject line or what your video is about. And sending that out to your email list will show them that you have just created a new video that you want them to watch, and people will. Now, the social media options you have, these are the most common ones: Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. TikTok is something that is a major platform at this moment, though businesses have not started regularly using TikTok. So though the front runners of businesses have, you can advertise on TikTok, and you can record your own video on your own TikTok and just post that, but not as a business. Facebook, there's no time limit. You want to upload that original file, and it's going to live on Facebook. Now, I also like to put my URL of where I've put that video on my webpage. Maybe it was combined with a blog post. And so you want to share that video, but you also want to link people with a call to action to bring them back to your website. LinkedIn, you want to do the same thing, though you want to confirm if your video is relevant on LinkedIn to a business networking world. And then third is Instagram. If you want to post a video straight on your feed, it has to be under a minute. So maybe you want to take your original video and cut a 1-minute version of it, or maybe the video is already under 1 minute. Or you can also use Instagram TV if your video is longer than a minute, that you can also have on Instagram. Now, I say all this, you say, man, this is too intense, this is too much. All I can tell you is break it into the steps that I've laid out today, and I promise that it will not seem as overwhelming as it is. But if you want to hire somebody, you've got two options. Either you can hire a freelancer or an agency or a production company. Now, I'll tell you right now, if you're going to hire one of these, do it based on your need. So if you already know what you want to capture, why you want to capture it, the message that you want to capture with it, the style that you want it done in, then hire a freelancer and tell them exactly what you're looking for and exactly what your goal is and the end product is that you're looking for. If you want direction on strategy, what types of videos you should be producing, the message, how those videos should be shot and edited, then you're going to want to hire an agency or production company who's going to walk you through all of those steps with their expertise. When you're working with a contractor, whether it be a freelancer or an agency, before you agree to anything, determine ownership. Again, I'm all about equitability and using the footage that you have for other stuff. So please make sure that you have checked, confirmed with the person that you're hiring or the agency that you're hiring, will I get all of my raw footage when I'm done with this project? You want to make sure that you have the final file, whether it be a QuickTime MP4 most likely, and you also want to make sure that you have the original raw video clips that were shot by somebody else so that you can have that in your own library in case you want to hire somebody different in the future or you want to go back and make edits to what you already have. You'll also want to determine what is the full scope, how many shoots are we talking about, who's going to be on the shoots, how many hours are we talking about. Then we want to talk about what are additional costs that I'm not seeing in this quote or proposal from you, such as the purchasing of stock video footage, the purchasing of licensed music, and any voiceover and any licenses continuing that will go on with that. You want to make sure that the costs for all those things are outlined below. Revision policy. Hey, do I get 3 rounds of revisions, 2 rounds of revisions? Are you going to revise it indefinitely until I say that I'm happy? What's included in the current quote that we're working with? And then are you going to come with camera operators, lighting, audio, a producer? Determine what exactly that's going to look like because you might not need all of that. And just because you were given a proposal with it does not mean that you have to use all those people. Because budgets can vary, and these are different ways where you can cut budgets yet still have a quality product, a quality video that educates your following. The last step is repeat it. Go back up to the top of the process that we just laid out and start it again. You can never stop creating content. You want to always be thinking about the next video or the next project that you want to do. I highly recommend starting with something that you know you can meet, a goal that you know that you can meet. Maybe it's I'm going to produce 1 video a month myself using the equipment and the software that John's laid out today. Whatever goal you want to create, stick to it and repeat the process. So you want to go back after a couple of weeks. You want to look at the data. How did it perform on social media? How did it perform on my website? How did it perform on YouTube video views? And is this a video that I want to do again because it engaged with my following? Or is this a video that I now want to put in a box of don't do a type of video like that again because it did not get engagement and traction? Of course, you want to use the data to incorporate back up into your strategy to start this 3-step process again. All right, I know I went over time today. I haven't left but 11 minutes for questions, but I am here to answer and ask any questions that people have.
Great, thanks, John. This is a fantastic presentation. Just want to remind everyone this is being recorded, so you can go back and review all the great steps and information that John provided. John, there are some questions that came through. If you do have a question, feel free to put it in the Q&A section there at the bottom of the screen. So John, you spoke a lot about iPhone and Apple. What about those that have Windows machines and or more importantly, an Android phone?
Yep. So, Android and Apple are in that constant battle for who's better and who's got the better device. So that's great for us as consumers because they're trying to fight and put better equipment in each of their devices. Both devices offer great audio and video capturing quality compared to what they were years ago. Both devices are going to yield you great shots. Both devices have equal setting capabilities with their video shooting tools.
Okay, so it's just for every time you said iPhone on this presentation, it could also be interjected with
Correct.
Android, right?
I'm
Okay.
an iPhone guy, as is most of us. But I'll tell you, I've used both, and they both do great work.
Okay, great. Tell us a little bit about, are there some free resources out there, especially as for editing purposes, for those that don't have an Adobe Cloud license?
Yeah, so if you're on a Mac or a PC, it's going to come with a free video software program, such as iMovie for Mac or Windows Movie Maker for PC. Those are going to be basic programs that you can use, and they're going to be fine to edit the basic videos that we talked about today. Now, once again, every single one of those softwares are going to have very basic online training tutorial videos of how to edit a clip. Editing clips, stringing together a basic video using the shots that you captured on your phone or on that basic camera is not a hard thing to do. And you will get the hang of it after you watch a 15-minute tutorial video, and that can just be found by Googling Premiere or iMovie tutorial videos.
What about Filmora? Have you used that?
I have not used that.
Okay.
Nope, I cannot speak on that.
Okay. And then, of course, you talked about audio and how audio is important. Is there anything, particular equipment that you'd recommend? You mentioned lavalier mics and boom mics and things like that. Any specific manufacturer or device that you'd recommend?
No specific manufacturer device for audio. Audio is going to be one of those things that it's a direct correlation for how much money you've got to put into it. I highly recommend if you go on Amazon and you Google Bluetooth microphone for iPhone, it will come up with some $60, $50, $80 choices. Those are all going to be just fine for you. The more money you have, the more money you want to spend, the better it's going to get.
John, talk a little bit about lighting, especially if you're inside, you're around fluorescent lights. That'll certainly put maybe a tint to your video. How do you correct that? What should you look for?
Well, I'm going to tell you something very, very basic, and I get asked all the time to take people's photos. And I will take another iPhone and I will put that iPhone's flashlight on, and I will take, okay, I'm a geek, all right? So I'm in Fred's at Tigerland as a senior at LSU, holding up with my left hand an iPhone flashlight, getting a nice photo or shot of somebody right here just to light it well in Fred's at Tigerland. So it's a basic concept. Whether you've just got a flashlight that you want to use to illuminate somebody's face, whether you've got a fluorescent light bulb that you want to just bring near somebody so that they've got light on their face. Lighting is not something that you have to spend tons of money on. The use of a window is something that you want to use as your main light. So for instance, I've got a window right here, and that's what's projecting the majority of light on my face. So lighting is something that you want to make sure that the subject has good light on their face. But outside of that, even if the color turns out to be a little bit weird, that's once again something that you can change the coloration, the tint of the video in an editing software such as iMovie or Final Cut or Adobe Premiere, just by Googling, once again, how to change the color of my shot in iMovie. It will show you some very basic ways to make sure that the temperature of your shot is what you want it to be.
Great. Can you speak a little bit about keeping it simple? I know we talked about B-roll and trying to make sure that you have good editing and have enough footage, but is there kind of a tipping point there where you can just have too much stuff? You have too fancy transitions.
So you can never have there's never anything you can never have too much for video. So the more you can shoot, the more footage that you have from whatever you were shooting, the better. At the same time, if all of your footage is crap in terms of maybe every single clip that you recorded was only 1.5 seconds or 2 seconds because your ADD. Those are little things that are going to kill you later when you start to edit. So make sure when you go out, you're patient. Count to 5, count to 10 with your shot, because for you or me, for somebody that doesn't do this for very long, they'll pull out their phone, they'll shoot for 2 seconds, and they'll think that they've got enough. Because as humans, I got enough of that over 2 seconds. But you want to hold it for 10, and you want to hold it steady. Don't come in here and start turning left and right and up and down. If you want to get a shot right here, get your shot. Count to 5 seconds. Hold it. If you want to get a shot over there, do it again. Don't come here and then come there and then come there. If you do want to shoot a video or produce a video where you are going to walk somebody through it, do it painfully slow for you. If it's painfully slow for you, as you turn and as you guide people through, then it's going to be a much better experience for your viewer when they're watching it.
So all of these shots that we're taking, that we're holding for 20 seconds, 30 seconds, how big are these files going to be? And then where should we store them afterwards?
Yeah, great question. So these files on your phone are going to end up being anywhere from a couple of megs to 20, 30, 40 megs. For me, most of us these days are using Google Drive, Dropbox, OneDrive. All of that software, all of those apps have apps that you can download on your phone if you're shooting on your phone. And when you're done shooting, maybe you got 20 shots, just simply go into your video reel, select all 20 shots, hit the share button. It's going to pop up. It's going to say, do you want to text these, email these? Go ahead and just add them to your Google Drive or your Dropbox or your OneDrive, whatever you use. They'll upload from your phone onto one of those platforms, and then you'll be able to download it to your computer, send it to somebody else to use, or save and reference, whenever you want to later.
Great. So if we're doing a video that's just like the interview part that you talked about, how do you keep it from just being a single shot of one person's head that can kind of get a little boring after a while?
It definitely can get boring. And there's some basic things that can be done in edit if you've only got one camera. Another thing that's very simple that you could do is shoot with multiple cameras. So maybe it's using 2 iPhones. Maybe you bought 2 tripods. Those iPhone tripods run 30, 40, 50 bucks, depending on how much you want to spend again. But shooting it with 2 angles so that you've got a dead-on interview shot, as well as maybe a side angle or a more zoomed-in angle, as opposed to a wider angle. But if you don't have 2 cameras and you want to create some space there, and you don't have any B-roll, because that's really what you're telling me, Stephen. If I've got a 1 or 2 interviews and I've got great B-roll that I shot, then I'm going to cut up their interviews, and then I'm going to lay my B-roll over their interviews, so I'm only seeing them for 5 or 10 seconds. If you don't have any B-roll and you can't use photos or anything else, then a very basic tactic can be to crop in and out your shots. So you can have the first couple of seconds be a zoomed in shot where we're tighter on the person, and then you can digitally, in these programs, you can crop in or crop out your shot so that it looks like you're going between 2 different angles, but you really just shot it with 1 camera.
Great information. John, we are almost out of time, but we do have one very important question. It's about licensing music. How do you do that?
Great question. So there are platforms out there that you can go and purchase the license to music. Now, the license to music is going to depend on where it's getting used. Now, most of us in this conversation today are producing internet-based videos that we're going to put on YouTube, we're going to put on our website, we're going to share on social media or send out in that newsletter. Most of the videos that we are shooting are not going to air on ESPN in a commercial block during a football game or something like that. So based on where your video is being used and what type of organization you are is going to depend on how much you need to pay for the license to use the music. Though there are there are websites out there like The Music Bed that will walk all of this through. So it'll say, are you a nonprofit or a commercial business? Where is your video going? And you'll end up paying anywhere between $49 to license that song to use on that video, all the way up to a couple hundred or a couple thousand, depending on where it's being used. There are also other platforms out there like audioblocks.com that is just a one price where you're going to pay for a license once a year to use all of their music throughout. So if you're just doing basic content videos or interview videos and you're doing a lot of them and you want to pay a couple $100s a year to just have access to all types of background instrumental type music to use behind your video, then that's the avenue that you want to take, is getting a subscription to one of those websites.
Right. John, unfortunately, we are out of time, but I appreciate you spending time today talking to us about this. You can find John at thinkjcw.com. And then you can also find this and other resources at nexusla.org. That's who's brought this to you today. This Tech Park Academy is brought to you by Louisiana Technology Park and nexusla.org. And you can also find our next Tech Park Academy information there, which will be October 15th. And Andrew Tadman with the East Baton Rouge Parish Library will be there to talk about resources, free resources, fantastic resources that you can do to help, that you can access to help you with your company. So again, thank you all for being here. Hope to see you again on October 15th at 10 o'clock. And please visit nexusla.org for information on registering. Thank you, John. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Stephen. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye-bye.